Aidan Hutchinson has now played a year in the NFL. He was obviously a very hyped up prospect, but how well has he lived up to the hype so far? If you look at his PFF grades, they're pretty good. A grade of over 80 in a rookie year is actually a great grade, although I think it's worth mentioning that a lot of it has come from coverage, getting 3 interceptions, which is crazy because apparently he had never had an interception at any level prior to being in the NFL, and then he gets 3 his rookie year in the NFL. That's insane. But, pass rush grade of 70 is still solid. Run defense grade of 68, still pretty good. If you look at a couple other stats and just where he ranks in those stats, his pass rush win rate is 47th in football. His pass rush PFF grade was 43rd in football, and this is out of 126 eligible players. So what was he like as a rookie? He was basically a good number 2 edge rusher as a rookie. And again, these are positions that take some time to develop. And I would also say that I thought he got better as the season went along. Statistically, he certainly did get better as the season went along. But of course, stats are just stats. People like to watch tape more than they like to just look at stats, although I definitely think both are important. But let's watch the tape. First, let's start off with this play, going up one-on-one against a right tackle. This isn't a dominant win or anything, but it is a win and kind of shows what he can do and kind of shows different things that he can do. So watch what happens at the beginning of this play. Right off the bat, he's really going to essentially use his power right here. I mean, he kind of is just attempting to drive the right tackle further back, and I would say is succeeding at it. He's doing a very good job, I think, of driving the tackle back, and it's going to continue to drive him back to the point where there's a right guard on this play who has a decision to make. The right guard for Green Bay, so the guy who's on the left side of the screen who isn't currently blocking anybody, he's looking over at Hutchinson. He kind of sees the situation and says, hey, this could be trouble. Let me try and figure something else out. Watch him block Hutchinson, but that actually just gets Hutchinson away, and he's able to get the sack. Ball came out, but Rodgers was down beforehand, but still a very impressive play from Hutchinson, I think. Again, is this the most dominant win you'll see? No, but it kind of goes to show that he can win in other ways, and he can win with power. He isn't just someone who has to win with technique, although certainly the technique is there. Something like this is another example of what he does well, is he's so explosive. One of the things I talked about kind of heading into his first season coming out of college was he's the kind of guy who can win in a phone booth. He doesn't need a ton of space, it seems like, to get past someone, and he's so explosive that it really works out well. Watch how when this play begins, you see how he's kind of faking as though he's going to the outside, but then going to try an inside move, which, if you're going to do this, you have to be able to have the footwork to pull this off, and you really have to make sure that you win when you do this stuff, because if you screw up, Aaron Rodgers, really good pocket presence. He will notice, he will get outside the pocket. Great, now Rodgers has 6 seconds to throw. He's going to find someone open for a touchdown probably. So you got to be careful here. But watch how he does win quickly enough that Rodgers, nothing he can do. He gets sacked there by Hutchinson. Just a really, really incredible play by him. And again, the fact that he has that power and that footwork and that explosiveness is what makes him so great. I think people kind of talked about him as this elite technician coming out of college, and listen, his technique was very good coming out of college, but I think people didn't pay enough attention to just how good of an athlete he is. Like, this play is another example of just, he has those wow plays. You'll definitely see them on tape. Some of his wins, his highlights are incredible. I think we're going to hope for a little bit more consistency going into next season, which I expect to get because, like I said, you saw him towards the end of the year be a very good edge rusher just straight up. I think it took him a little bit to get going. But, like, these plays were what makes you say, okay, this guy could be a star. Watch how when this play begins, again, quick fake as though he's going to the outside. This time it's a running play, also worth mentioning. But watch again, the hands and the quickness to be able to essentially get untouched to Dalvin Cook and get that stop. I mean, he will pull off some really impressive wins, and definitely, again, what do impressive wins show? You want more consistent wins more than anything, but they show that he's capable of that stuff, and the reality is, if you can pull off impressive wins somewhat consistently, you'll probably be able to pull off regular wins more consistently. I think his speed works in other ways, stuff like this, which is simple, but I think still important. It's going to be just a twist where he is the player who is currently lined up, 97. He's the one who's lined up kind of right on the at tight end. That's where, what he's doing. He's going to be moving over from the right to the left, as you have an interior defensive lineman who's going to move from the left to the right. Hopefully he pulls the center in, and Hutchinson has a straight shot to the quarterback, and spoiler alert, that will happen. But Hutchinson has to make sure he gets there before the center reads it. That's the way this play works. Watch how when this play begins, Hutchinson does get there so quickly, he's able to generate a pressure on Cousins. Cousins just throws the ball away. Good play by Cousins to minimize damage, but the reason why he had to minimize damage was because damage was coming, and that damage's name was Aidan Hutchinson. Again, going over here, I should bring up the technique a little bit, just because, it is so impressive. Going up one-on-one against a right tackle here. Watch how when this play begins, watch that left arm. Watch how, because again, with a right tackle, we always talk about, for a right tackle, it's the right arm, and the left tackle is the left arm. That's so important. For a right tackle, that right arm, impacts 95% of plays. That's what typically the play comes down to. And if you can get the right arm out of position, it's going to be really hard for any tackle to block you. Hutchinson does knock it out of position and, is able to get to Cousins for a sack. He is just so good with his hands. That is his best attribute. And when you pair that with an elite level talent, it's why his tape is always so good and why his stats were very good last year and were amazing in college, and I wouldn't be shocked if they become amazing at the NFL level. So how should we feel about Hutchinson after his first year? If we're giving it a letter grade, I think like a B+. Right? I mean, the reality is a lot of what we like about Hutchinson is still from his college tape. At least that's how I view it. If he was a third rounder I didn't care about who had this season, I'd be pleasantly surprised, and I'm like, whoa, this guy could end up playing. But obviously the college tape is what makes it impressive. But I think what I like about it is he showed me in his first year in the NFL that he's capable of being the guy we saw in college. And again, for a first-year player, you don't expect him to come on and be elite right away. That very rarely happens. Yes, you have the occasional Nick Bosa. Yes, you have the occasional, Micah Parsons for sure. But Hutchinson, while maybe not those guys, was still really good as a rookie. I mean, again, like I said, an above average, or I would say good, number 2 edge rusher overall as a rookie is very good. And the fact that he got better to where he was certainly a number 1 edge rusher towards the end of the year already is very exciting for the Lions, who now are in position where, again, a lot of draft capital. They've used some of the cap space to build up this team. They feel like they're ready for year 2, and with a sophomore jump that you could maybe see with, with someone like Hutchinson, that's where the exciting thing comes in. Because, we always talk about rookie contracts, and we always talk about them in terms of quarterback. If you can get a quarterback on a rookie deal, you're in great shape. That's true. It's kind of hard to argue the contrary. It's definitely very valuable to get a quarterback on a rookie deal. But who gets paid? I guess receivers get paid the second most now, but for a while it was edge rushers, and maybe someone like Hutchinson will get a $30 million a year deal. So the reality is, having him on the rookie deal right now is something you can take advantage of, even though you are paying Jared Goff and you don't have the value that way. Then one of the ways that you can get the value is by getting good players on rookie deals, right? Every team kind of needs to get cheap, talented players, and having a player in Hutchinson who is cheap right now for the next 3 seasons should really help out the Detroit Lions, and already is. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on him. Again, I'm a huge fan of his college tape and a fan of his NFL tape as well. That's kind of my thoughts on him. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Hutchinson? Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.